My name is Rick Petherbridge, and I'm here to talk US Open tennis. We are now halfway through the US Open, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the stories from the first week and then preview the second week. So let's get started with the men's draw. And of course, the biggest story on the men's draw was that Djokovic was defaulted in his match. He was defaulted because he hit a linesman with a ball. It was after the point. It was unintentional. But the rule is that if you do that, you're defaulted from a match. I'm trying to think of the other two times that I've seen this happen. And the only two times I can think of was there was a case with Tin Hemman. It was at Wimbledon. He was playing doubles. And it was an even more unusual situation where after the point, he hit the ball over the net, right, to the other side of the court. And there was a ball boy that was running across, right, to get a ball, and it hit him in the ear. And in that case, Tidman was defaulted. So, I mean, you know, some of us will think, is this fair? You know, when someone doesn't deliberately do it, you know, should they be defaulted from the tournament? But that is the rule in tennis. The only other time I can think of that I've seen that happen actually was with Shapovalov. He was playing a Davis Cup match, and after the point, he took the ball, and you know how they hit it high and hard into, like to hit the ball out of the stadium. He mishit the ball, and it hit the referee, the chair referee, in the face. And of course, he was defaulted as well. So this situation with Djokovic, I think, you know, you can feel bad for him. He was clearly the favorite in this tournament. He clearly didn't intend to hit the linesman, but the rule is that if you do, you're defaulted. And I think that's something that in every situation I can think of, a player's been defaulted. So we'll leave you to decide whether you think that's a good rule or a bad rule, but that's the rule in tennis. What's more interesting for me is that this changes the whole tournament. Djokovic was clearly the favorite in this tournament, and now it is a wide open opportunity. And the interesting part for me from a fan perspective is, how do the players left in the draw respond to this? And I've seen something like this happen before in other events where the clear favorite gets injured or loses a match. And what happens is that suddenly players that were not favorites become favorites, and they start to feel the pressure. And it's always interesting to see how a player responds to that. So I'm thinking specifically of a player like Thiem, a player like Medvedev, a player like Zverev. Do they respond to this by saying, hey, what a great opportunity, and become even more competitive and fight even harder? Or does the pressure get to them a little bit? They're not used to being the clear-cut favorites. And now they have this additional pressure, and they realize this situation isn't going to happen again, maybe not for the next 5 years, where they're going to be able to win a Grand Slam without even having to play Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic. So it's just going to be a really interesting second week to see how each one of these players respond to this opportunity, right? Do they step up and seize the moment, right? Or does the pressure get to them a little bit? Do they get a little tight? Do they get a little tentative, right? You know, it'll be interesting to see how each player responds. And also it creates the opportunity that a dark horse, who we really didn't think had any chance of winning, could sneak in and win their first Grand Slam. But whoever it is, it's going to be their first Grand Slam. And that's really interesting to see from a fan perspective. One other big story that I want to talk about from last week is Tsitsipas lost in an upset. He was ahead in the fourth set, 5-1. He was serving for the match, and unbelievably, he lost that match to Coric. Tsitsipas had 8 match points. I don't think I've seen a match where someone had 8 match points and still lost the match, or a more dramatic reversal than that. And especially, look, if you're Tsitsipas and you wake up this morning, it's not just that you lost a match that you should have won and you know you should have won. It's like, this was a chance to win a Grand Slam, right? Djokovic got defaulted. Have I blown the biggest opportunity of my life in a match that I really should have won? But anyway, probably the most interesting upset from the first week. All right, so let's move on and look at how the next week shapes up. And let's talk about the favorites, right? Now that Djokovic is out of the tournament, and of course he was the clear favorite, in my opinion, there's 2 co-favorites. One is Dominic Thiem. So let's start with him. And of course, he's a 3-time finalist. He lost to Nadal at the French Open in 2018 and 2019. He also lost to Djokovic this year at the Australian Open. So he's been a finalist 3 times. And now he has the opportunity to win a Grand Slam and not have to face either Nadal or Djokovic or Federer. And it'll be interesting to see how he responds to this challenge. He has a beautiful one-handed backhand. I'm a one-hander. I always pay attention to that. Hits with big top spin off of both sides. He's very fit, has a good serve. The one thing that I see about Thiem's game is sometimes I think he gets caught up too much in hitting the ball as big as he can and wanting to out-hit his opponent and not thinking strategically. The other co-favorite in my mind is Medvedev. He was the 2019 finalist with Nadal at the US Open. He lost a close 5-set match. He's a very talented all-around player. He's 6'6", has good serve, good forehand. And I think what makes him really unusual is that he's a very talented defensive player. He moves really well. He can sit behind the baseline, sometimes 10 feet behind the baseline, and rally with whoever he wants. He has the fitness to go 5 sets. And I think he's a really good strategic player. And what I mean by that is when he's in a match, he has such a good feel for the match, right? So if he sees that his opponent is doing something well, he can alter his game, much like a Roger Federer. He has the diversity. He can rally. He can be more aggressive. He can attack, and he seems really tactically good at that, right? That whatever his opponent is doing, he finds a way to counteract that and to do it effectively. And in my mind, I think he's more likely to win than Thiem. I don't think he's a better player than Thiem. My instinct is that he'll handle the situation better than Thiem, right? That Thiem will feel the pressure more than Medvedev, and it'll be because of Medvedev's personality, he'll be more likely to grab this opportunity than Thiem will. Okay, so let's move on and talk about a next group of players. I call them the next gen players, but they're the younger players left in the draw. The first one would be Felix. He's 20 years old, and I would say that he's the most improved tennis player I've seen this year. And he's young and he's still improving. And I think he has a legitimate outside chance to win this tournament. Now, he's got a tough draw. He would have to beat Thiem, and then he'd have to beat Medvedev, and then he'd have to beat whoever makes it through on the other side of the draw. And that's the toughest draw, I think, left. But he's very fit. He has a very big game. He won't be feeling the pressure. I think most people feel like he's too young to win a Grand Slam at this stage. But I definitely make him a dark horse, and I see him as a possible winner in this event. The other next-gen player I want to talk about is Shapovalov. He's 21 years old. He has a huge game, plays a very aggressive style of play. He also has a beautiful one-hander. I always pay attention to that. Hits the ball big off the backhand side, goes for his shots, hits a lot of winners. He also makes a lot of unforced errors, and he's a little bit streaky because of his aggressive style of play. Because of that, I think he's probably not ready to be a Grand Slam winner yet, that he's going to have to control and reel in his game a little bit more in crucial situations before he wins a slam. Very entertaining player to watch, very big game. Now, the next player that I want to talk about is, I always like to mention the American players. I think a lot of us are always looking to see who's going to be the next American player to win a Grand Slam. It's been a long, dry spell since Roddick won the US Open. And the last American left in the draw is Tiafoe. And Tiafoe is a very improved player as well. He's extremely athletic. He's very fit. His ground strokes aren't as polished as some of the other players in the top 20, which makes it harder for him to sit on the baseline and win long rallies. But his athleticism allows him to get to the net, allows him to finish off points, allows him to hit, shots that other players wouldn't get to. I think in the future, if he can get a little bit better at his volley game, and then transitioning from the baseline to the net, he's a player that has the potential clearly to be a top 10 player and a Grand Slam champion. So for all of us Americans who are hoping and waiting to see who the next American man is to win a Grand Slam, he gives us some hope. And he's a really talented and entertaining player to watch. So I hope you all enjoy this last week of the US Open. And I think we're all really curious to see who wins this Grand Slam. It is open for a number of different players to win. And I can't think of another Grand Slam in the last 5 years that's like this, where so many players so early in the tournament realize that they have a chance to win. And it's going to make the last week extremely interesting. I can't wait.